What up guys, Sumetal983 here bringing you another album review, and this time we've got some absolute quality tunes right here and stuff that you need to listen to if you want to just party and have a good time. Then this is definitely the band to go to. But I'm going to be reviewing the new Alestorm album entitled Curse of the Crystal Coconut. This is released under Napalm Records. Now, you should be familiar with Alestorm by now. They are a pyro metal band hailing from Glasgow, Scotland, and yeah, this band, in all honesty, are quite simply one of my all-time favourite bands. I know I've been saying that quite a lot recently, but yeah, these guys honestly are one of my favourites, and I've been a big fan of them ever since I first heard their second album, I think it was, Black Sails at Midnight, and then ever since then I've been a loyal fan and checked out every single release and fallen in love with it in one way or another. Now, this is the band's 6th full-length album, a follow-up to their 5th installment entitled No Grave But the Sea, which was in my top albums list for that year, which I believe was, 2017, and what an album that was, if you ask me. It was just so fun, so enjoyable, and just filled with so much character, man. Like, that's one thing I absolutely love about Alestorm. They're a character-filled band, and they just never fail to put a smile on my face and get us in the mood for drinking. I'm not drinking at the moment, but they always get me in the mood for drinking and make it just 10 times more enjoyable. But yeah, so that album was absolutely incredible, and now we have the band's next installment entitled Curse of the Crystal Coconut. So yeah, it's 11 tracks and runs around 44 minutes in length, and what can you expect from this that hasn't been said before about Alestorm? Just absolute tunes of just absolute fun and enjoyment throughout. I mean, they have consistently put out really solid albums, and I'm not taking that on the perspective of just like, it's just fun and enjoyment. I'm looking at it as a serious factor as well, because these are quality musicians, what we have here. They know how to compose a jolly-filled song and make your day, but still manage to bring some real good musicianship forward and create some really good tunes for you to headbang to and have a good time to. And quite frankly, this album, in my opinion, is one of their most fully dynamic releases that I've heard so far. It just has a lot more going for it, I feel, in the production side of things, like listening to this album, because the production, in my opinion, is could be the best production that I've heard on an Alestorm album. Every instrument is clear as day on here, crystal clear. Yeah, no pun intended. But yeah, it's crystal clear. Like, every riff, you can hear every pick action. You can hear every orchestration and synth going into there to create that pirate atmosphere in there. And then the bass is so audible throughout the entire course of the album. The drums pop so much on this album. Like, every cymbal, every tom, you can feel every hit, and it just seems so refined. Like, this just seems like a lot more of a cleaner recorded album than No Grave But the Sea. And No Grave But the Sea was a very clear sounding album, but this one, they kind of pushed the envelope for clarity a little bit more, just to give it that bit more, it feels a bit more impactful when you listen to it, in all honesty, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it still hits hard when it needs to. I mean, there's some breakdowns on this album which really took us by surprise. Like, they've had hinted at little breakdowns and stuff here and there, and it's not like your run-of-the-mill, like, say, metalcore or hardcore breakdown. This is like a kind of, the best way I can take it is a bit like a thrash metal sort of breakdown, where the drums sort of slow down but the riff still continues, sort of thing. That's the best way I can describe it, but it definitely hits quite hard when it does, like, especially on the song, I think it's Treasure Chest Party Quest off the top of my head. Yeah, that song is a perfect introduction to the album, if you ask me. It just sounds like the stereotypical Alestorm sort of party sort of song to set up the album, for what's going to come next as you listen to the album throughout its progression. And yeah, another song that definitely feels like a typical Alestorm sort of song is the song Fanny Paws, which is another single what they've dropped leading up to this album, and I absolutely love that song. They've always got that sing-along factor that after the first listen of an album or even a song, the first listen to a song, you're singing it straight after. That you can't do it. They are so contagious. There's such a contagious band in their songwriting and their lyricism, if you ask me, because like as I said, no matter what, the first time you listen to a song, you'll sing it straight after. I mean, if you hate the band, you probably will still end up singing it, whether you like it or not. I mean, they are quite a Marmite sort of band for a lot of people. There's quite a divide as either you love them or you hate them. There's no middle ground, really. And I, for one, absolutely love them. And then after that, the album starts to take on a little bit more of a different sort of approach with the songwriter, with the song Chomp Chomp, which kind of feels like a bit more of a straight up folk metal sort of influence song. Like you could say that the band takes on like a symphonic power metal sort of sound to them, but that's what I put them in my iTunes. But I think that is a bit niched up, because I don't like the term power metal personally, but as a genre, but because it's a lyrical theme. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, I've got them labelled as symphonic folk metal, but I think that really pigeonholes them far too much, because they have a lot more influence go from them, from thrash, as I said at the start, to folk metal, to power metal, to symphonic metal, to, like as I said, little bits of metalcore in there, just like sprinkled in there in the breakdowns, and it just adds to it. But Chomp Chomp is definitely a very folk-driven song, and not really so much pirate sort of folk, like traditional folk sort of influence, kind of like along the same sort of lines as Elvite and Fintroll, for example. And speaking of Fintroll, Matthias does a little guest spot on this song, and his vocals, when they come in, you know instantly it's him, because he's got a really dynamic sort of growl to him, and it really fits in with that sort of feel, because you feel like when you listen to it, like, this does feel like a Fintroll sort of influenced song, and then when he comes in, you're just like, yeah, that fucking makes sense now. But it really adds to the overall feel of the album and really breaks it off and shows that they are pushing their limits as a band. Like, they're not just here just to perform fun songs. They are still pushing their boundaries as a band. They are a serious band, but live they just treat it as a fun show, you know, so that's how I see them anyway. My favourite song, though, on this album definitely has to go to Tortuga. I mean, that one kind of has a bit of a rap sort of feel, but it does, like, the musicianship behind it, like the guitars, the bass, and the drum work, kind of feels a bit of progressive vibe in there, like odd time signatures and stuff, to really make a groove and flow a little bit more unique, if you ask me. But it really fits well with the song and makes it stand out, and I think that's what's made it stand out for me as well. And also, another thing that's made it stand out is the guest spot on here by Captain Yarface, Welcome to the Sea. I mean, you know, I absolutely love Runnerjma, and Captain Yarface doing a guest spot on this album was absolutely no surprise to me. And quite frankly, he absolutely kills it on the rap segment on this song. It kind of harkens back to their cover of Hangover on Sunset on the Golden Age. Yeah, it reminds us of that, but it really fits very fucking well, if you ask me, and it just fits with the whole Alestorm like mentality, you know. It's just fun enjoyment factor, and that song is definitely the most fun song on this album. Yeah, Zombies Ate My Pirate Ship is another incredible song on this album. That one's kind of like a bit more of a, it kind of feels more like a ballad in some ways, but it really does another test to what Alestorm do, and they're not just writing the same anthem, they're writing anthem after anthem, but they're changing it up and making different feels here and there. And Zombies Ate My Pirate Ship is definitely one of those feelers where it feels like more like a ballad, if you ask me, and it features Patty Gurdy, which I believe is a YouTuber, if I'm not mistaken. She does a little segment towards the end where it starts to mellow down, and she's playing a traditional folk instrument. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but yeah, her little segment in there is just so beautiful and sombre, and it just really hits in the feels on that song. Like it's a generally a fun song, but it just fits like that sort of progression in the album. It just sounds so well. It sounds so good, if you ask me. And then PaulWWilson is another anthem-filled song, just lyrics that you'll be singing left, right, and centre after you've listened to this album. Pirate Scorn is kind of like a segment. You could say it kind of feels like the title track because it mentions the Crystal Coconut a lot in it, which, if you know Crystal Coconut, if I'm not mistaken, it's a reference to the old Donkey Kong game, which is in the artwork itself. So if you haven't looked at the artwork in detail, go on Google, type in, find the largest image you can of that artwork, and just look in the background. There's little Easter eggs in there, and it's just such a well done artwork. Definitely one of my favourite artworks that Alestorm has done or had so far, should I say. Absolutely amazing song in general. It just adds a bit more might to it and a little bit more of a it feels like more of a festival feeling song, that one, definitely, if you ask me. So make sure you hear that song. And then last album we had Fucked With An Anchor as kind of like the interesting song of the album, you know, the standout song of the album. And this one, I feel, of the track list, the one that definitely stands out was Shitboat No Fans. It's only 1 minute and 15 minutes long, and, well, 1 minute and 15, yeah, 75 seconds long. And it's quite a kind of punky sort of feeling song. Like, it's really short and quite simple, like, short length, just really catchy, but still to this day, it's fun as fuck to listen to, man. Just that song, like, the whole album, I was laughing my head off with how much fun and enjoyment I was getting. I was dancing around my house, just having a good time. And when that song came on, I literally fell on the sofa, just laughing my head off, man. Such a fun song, man. Anyway, and then that moves on. That kind of, it's like a part one to when it flows into Pyro Metal Drinking Crew. It kind of fits in, like, it just is like an intro to that song in some way. That's Shitboat No Fans into Pirate Metal Drinking Crew. Absolutely incredible flow, and that song is another anthem-filled song, like Zombies Ate My Crew. It's kind of like it's definitely a festival feeling song, if you ask me, because I can picture them playing like the likes of Download or Bloodstock after this pandemic, obviously, and just being on that stage and singing and then just turning everything off and hearing the crowd just screaming Pirate Metal Drinking Crew at your face, and I can picture it, and I just want to be there when it happens, man. I know they're not, I don't think were confirmed for those lineups, but anyway, yeah, but absolutely incredible song. And then we get a part 2 song to Wooden Leg, part 2, The Woodening. Wow, an 8-minute long absolute powerhouse, if you ask me. Like, a massive follow. I absolutely love the first version of Wooden Leg, but this one, just the time signatures and the whole progressive feel of that song, like the tempo changes and stuff throughout, it just feels so cool to listen to that song. Like, it doesn't let up. Like, this album in general, from beginning to end, just, it passes by within a blink of an eye, and that's not a bad thing. It's just when you finish it, you want to listen to it again. And I feel like every album that Alestorm's done, when you finish listening to it, you're sad by the end of it, because you think, why is it over so quickly? And 44 minutes have passed by, and you're just like, stick it on again, stick it on again, stick it on again. And that's the factor that I feel like I love about Alestorm, because it makes you want to go back. It makes you want more. I mean, even after the first listen to this, I was just like, yeah, this is absolutely amazing. Can I have another album, so I'll probably just need to go back through the discography and just say, oh, I forgot about that song, but whatever. That's how Alestorm makes you feel. It just makes you want more. And then the closing track, Henry Martin, 2 minutes 30. Perfect closer to this album, if you ask me. Honestly, I thought it was going to end at Wooden Leg Part 2, The Woodening, just the way it feels. But then there's the last song on it, which just concludes the album perfectly. And you're just left in awe. That was just a fucking experience, man. And then you go to a mirror and you see yourself smiling, and that's what Alestorm do. They put a smile on your face. I mean, from the amazing songwriting and the production, like, absolutely amazing. I might as well also add, the guitar was very clean on this album as well, but the bass itself, it has different segments of tones on here. Like some parts it'll be super clean and typical bass sounding, and then there's a couple of parts like on Tortuga, for example, where there's kind of like a distorted bass, like sort of Motorhead sort of tone going on, which really helps break up the album and make the bass stand out just that little bit more. And I feel like as well, the vocals on this album definitely feel like the most melodic and tuneful sounding vocals that we've heard on an Alestorm so far. Because, like, obviously there's the piratey Scottish sort of vocals that they've done since the beginning that really give it that pirate sort of feel. But then at the same time, if you listen to the albums overall, they've been getting more melodic and more tuneful and actually singing to a note to make it like feel like they are actually progression as musicians. They're not just here just to, you know, scream like a pirate for like half an hour and then that's it. You know, they're actually doing things professionally, and it sounds absolutely incredible. I mean, Chris's vocals are absolutely incredible on this album, from the melodic, like, tuneful sort of vocals to even, like, the fun pirate sort of Scottish vocals that really, really work, man. Like, they really fit with the pirate sort of sound, and I absolutely love it. I'm not gonna lie. And is this the best Alestorm album? To be honest, I can't decide on my favourite Alestorm album. I still can't, because every time, it just depends on my mood. Like, at the moment, this is my favourite Alestorm album, but the next day I could listen to Sunset of the Golden Age, for example, which, when I first listened to that album, I wasn't too feeling, but then it became my favourite album when I finally clicked with it, and then No Grave But to Say came out, that was my favourite, and then I went back to Black Sails at Midnight, then that became my favourite. You know, it just flowed. Captain Morgan's Revenge, etc. They all have a standout segment for me, and I can't pick my favourite, but at the moment, this is my favourite Alestorm album, and it delivers on all fronts, from musicianship to songwriting to lyrics to enjoyment factor, and in reflection, it's an absolutely amazing album. I absolutely love it, and honestly, with the pandemic that this world is in at the moment, we needed something fun to just, you know, make us smile, and this album definitely does it for me. So for an overall score, though, I'm going to give this solid album, should we just say, if I don't spit over my words, I'm going to give this solid, I'm going to say it again, I'm going to give this album a solid 9.5 out of 10. Absolutely incredible album, one of the best of this year, and it's just left us wanting more. So now I'm going to go and listen to this album again because it's absolutely incredible. So I'll see you until the next video, and remember, stay metal, and I'll see you later.